I have a bit of a variety show for you today. We are going to be doing a variety show. Because variety is the spice of life. Let's let some people enter the chat. T-Man. Not sure if you know me. T-Man, what's up, dude? Cheers. Okay, we're doing a variety show today, T-Man. I'm going to show off a few different things. You know what? Let's bring this over here. Uh-huh. Working too much, eh? Hey man, the struggle's real. Hang in there. T-Man, do you know that I'm an owner of a YDNA amp? Yeah, I've got his Princeton Reverb that he redid. It's a reissue that he took from looking like a VCR to looking like some 1950s scientist-made stuff inside. It's awesome. Oh yeah, man, this head shell, it's awesome. He's just got to do some more venting, possibly do some handles, but yeah, it looks great. And it can look especially great in the right lighting with some photography. I've taken a couple cell phone pictures where the colors just really popped. He said it's chestnut. Typically, you'll see Koreans at this time of year underneath chestnut trees collecting the chestnuts. They collect those. I didn't know the full details, but I thought about it. No, Andy did not build the amp head. This was built by the guest you saw on Andy's channel last night, Jack Lee Guitars. Jack Lee Guitars on Instagram. He's very talented. He's a Korean guy. He lives here in town and does amazing work. I just put a post out on YouTube saying it's important to support the sole proprietors instead of spending your money at Guitar Center and Sweetwater. Support sole proprietors, because if you do and you get in with the right people, you can get yourself one of those. You can get yourself one of those. It wouldn't have happened without my relationships with experts, with masters. Usually you have to be a rock star for that and pay somebody a lot of money. But in the YouTube new economy, you can find people who are trying to get off the ground, who are trying to make a name for themselves. They all need Instagram photos of the work they do to attract more business, so on and so forth. Hey, if you can say, hey buddy, what do you need? Here's what I need. What do you need? Can I help you with anything? You can find sole proprietors that are looking to get started and can work stuff out with you. I'm very lucky. God bless. Yep, all John's amps are YDNA circuits in this room. That's right. YDNA circuit, YDNA circuit. Got a Hiwatt over here. YDNA circuit. I'm blessed. Well, I'm not Marshall, but I am blessed. I don't know if you guys were hearing that earlier. YDNA calls him blessed. His proper pronunciation would be blessed. Blessed be our founding fathers. Um, Him and Andy are in a bit of a predicament over some funds on PayPal. And I think some skeletons from his past have kind of come out of the closet, crept out of the closet. Um, if you know, you know. Uh, I haven't said anything bad about him, but it seems like uh, his relationship with YDNA is kind of crumbling right now. Yeah, he is a mastermind, man. And I'll tell you what, this is this is part of how difficult it is to do the amp business stuff. So he builds this amp, sends it to me. I plug it in when it gets here. Everything arrived in good condition, so on and so forth. I turn it on. It's very quiet. So graciously enough, he joined me over the telephone, and we spent all day trying to figure out what the hell was going on until we found that it was the master volume pot that just needed to be swapped out with a new one, and then everything was Gucci, right? But man, imagine how difficult it is to do a business where you've got something where there's about 300 different things going on inside, and when one of those is jacked up, then the customer is just like, this is a piece of shit, or writes a bad review. YDNA doesn't know what it's really tough. So we got it stable. It sounds great. I'm loving it. But yeah, I wouldn't want to try to get into the amp business. And I don't envy Andy and others in the amp business. It's really tough. And thankfully, he is available to his customers and can work these things out. But yeah, it's tough. Hey, you see those Asian fans? Yep, we got some Asian fans. That's right, guys. Okay, so today we're going to be diving right into it. First things first, we got the YDNA Princeton. We did a live video yesterday. The audio quality was low, but it was just for fun. Okay, this thing sounds great. The controls are much more manageable. It has many different settings, and it will sound good even in extreme settings for the EQ controls. The gains, we have two gains, a pre and a post gain. If you turn the post gain all the way down, you have the basic original circuit. If you introduce this, it gives it some girth, some body. It's kind of like normal volume and bright volume. Like this would be like bright volume. You turn up that normal volume halfway and it plumps it up. And then a master volume, which also was never on the original. So there's a lot of different things you can do with this. The reverb is also totally usable through the whole sweep of the pot. You can put it on 10, it'll sound like it would on maybe 3.5 on a reissue, because the reissue's reverb goes from 0 to 100 in no time. And who's going to put any more than like 3 on there? So this is really cool because you can use it all and you can really get your exact settings straight. Moving on, we had Jack Lee bring over that cabinet for the Marshall, and in his conversation with YDNA, comes to find out he needs more vending and he might need handles. A-Tech, welcome. A-Tech, you're going to Sweden. You could have come to Korea and left back to the States with a couple of these bad boys. But hey, it's up to you, man. It's up to you. So this cabinet, we found out, needs more venting, might need some handles. And Jack Lee's going to work on that. He's also making one for the Hiwatt. So we'll have more cabinet content coming your way in the weeks to come. I am not shadowing him. I'm not looking over his shoulder. I'm letting him work at his own pace because he gave me a great deal on these cabinets, and I'm sure that he's spending more time than I paid him for, which is super awesome. Thank you very much, Jack Lee Guitars. Please sub to Jack Lee Guitars on Instagram, Jack Lee Guitars. If you search for that, you'll probably recognize him from his appearance last night on the show. So we will make mic'd up videos of this amp. I'm not going to do lives with this amp. I'm going to put 2 mics on it and make proper videos. The next time Jack Lee Guitars comes over to do more cabinet stuff, I'm going to have the mics ready to go and a GoPro, and we're going to do good audio recordings of this amp. It's kind of silly doing YouTube live guitar amp stuff. I want to do real microphones on the thing. So next up, let's talk. Let's do another guitar collection. This time, I don't know if you remember last time we did Area Pro 2 from the 80s. Okay, we're going back east. We're going back to the land of the rising sun, Japan. The brand in question this time is Edwards, made by ESP. Okay, Edwards. I don't know if they are, I'm not scared, and it's not lame, Andy. What's lame is doing poor audio recordings of high-end audio gear. So I'm going to be releasing some good recordings today, but it's not going to be right now. It's not going to be right now. We got to make this right. Okay. So going back to the land of the rising sun, we got ESP Edwards. They make Gibson copies, but they're not Chibsons. And what I mean by this is they still have some mojo, okay? And if you know an amazing luthier like Jack Lee Guitars, you can give him an ESP Edwards and he can give it new frets, a new nut, do all his magic, give it back to you, and it will be on the level of Gibson or better. So I guarantee you that. Stock, they're great, and they got good bones. But if you have a luthier friend, they can put new frets on and a new nut and do the magic. They can be better than Gibson, and they can certainly be equals to Gibson. Good night to our USA friends. Hey, we're on opposite schedules. It is what it is, okay? It's 2 o'clock or 2:30 in the afternoon here, you know. All right, good night, Andy. You will be seeing more content about this amp soon. Okay, so back to ESP. Does anybody in the chat own an Edwards guitar or has owned an Edwards guitar? I'll tell you about my history with Edwards guitars. So I've probably had 7 or 8 of them. I currently have 3, and they're all Les Pauls. One that you've seen regularly on the channel is this Les Paul Custom, and it is fab, and it's heavy, and the neck radius seems a little bit flatter, and it is great for the chug. It has a little bit more balls and bravado than the other Les Pauls that I've got. One thing I did with this when I had Jack Lee Guitars work on it was I bought inlays from StewMac that were an upgrade to the kind of mother of toilet seat inlays that were in this one. This is real mother of pearl. It's real shell. And that's cool. I don't think any luthier in America would have done that for me. Jack Lee is an amazing inlay guy. I would have paid more than the price of this guitar for that inlay job if I was in America. And on all these Les Pauls, I try a lot of different pickups. This one, let's see. It's been a while since I've cracked this open, but I would imagine that this is a DiMarzio Super Distortion or Norton or one of the DiMarzio pickups. And I think this is Onomac Windery PAF. I think that's what we got going on here. Okay, so we have some folks from the YDNA chat in the Team YDNA chat right now. Fear Karma. You got it wrong, buddy. I didn't incite any trouble. So there's no trouble. We're just talking guitars, bro. When I got this guitar, here's the story. I got it from Japan off Reverb. The neck broke in shipping. The people that sold it to me from Japan only charged me like shipping, maybe a little bit more. I think I paid like $300 initially for this guitar, right? Holy shit. So then I took it to a luthier in Kansas, Corwin Guitars, had him do the neck fix. I didn't care about the finish. I just wanted it to be totally stable and good again. And I put on some Goto chrome tuners instead of the gold hardware. And then I tried out a lot of pickups, and this is what I fell upon. And then maybe 4 years later in Korea, I had Jack Lee do the inlays upgrade, new frets, and a new nut. And this thing, I don't know, maybe I've spent $1,200 total on everything with this guitar or something like that. Man, this guitar is on par with a $3,500 Les Paul Custom. This guitar rocks. I love it. It's a lot of fun. And I love it even more because of the history I have with it and that I got such good deals with it. Instead of breaking the bank on a $4,500 Les Paul Custom, I don't think I would enjoy that because I'm starting a relationship with financially being abused. That's not cool. Now, I also wouldn't like if it was a Chibson and it didn't have any coolness or mojo. This is a really good middle ground. So I recommend ESP Edwards. Now let's look at the other ESP Edwards Les Pauls that I have. Moving on. So I mentioned that all the ones I have are Les Pauls. Next up, a dark burst, a tobacco sunburst. Look at that. Interesting. This is about half as heavy as the last one you saw. I think this is a WCR Goodwood pickup, something boutique. And I think this is an Onimac Windery PAF. Yeah. This guitar is like Slash in November Rain out in the desert, right? These, the last one and this one are good nitro, old school finishes. This one also has patent applied or patent pending Grover tuners off another Edwards that I ended up selling. That the guy said he got them off the 1960s Gretsch. So I took the Grovers off the other ESP Edwards and put them on this one, which they work fine, but if you need new tuners, buy Gotos for $40 all day long. Like I said, this guitar is half as light as the last one. This guitar would not be what I would choose to do chugga chugga, big palm mutes. This is a good classic rock guitar, but not a total butt kicker guitar. This is a great guitar. The neck is a lot thinner than the last one also. This is like a 60s Gibson neck. Yeah, it's not that thick. Out of the three, this is probably the best looking one. The Les Paul Custom has some like aged plastic parts that just kind of look cheesy. This looks pretty authentic. So yeah, this is a great guitar. I'm loving it. I've had multiple Jimmy Page model Edwards Les Pauls. One was the best Edwards Les Paul I ever had, the stock, and I sold it to a friend for $100 or $200 more than what I bought it for, like a year after I bought it. The other one wasn't that good at all. So you may need to buy a handful of Edwards to find one that really speaks to you. But think about it. You spend $1,000 on an Edwards or $800 on an Edwards instead of spending $3,500 on a Gibson. Well, then buy 3 Edwards, buy 4 Edwards, and flip the ones that you don't like, and then all of a sudden you got more guitars, and the ones you keep will be on the Gibson level of quality. So yeah, these are great. They're also, think about it this way, a lot of people buy 80s made in Japan Gibson copies. Well, there's a lot of time in 45 years for things to go wrong. If you're buying something that's from like 2015 or around there, there's less time for possibly something to go wrong or for something bad to happen to the guitar. So I feel like in some ways they're a safer bet in that regard, because maybe this guitar has been sitting in a closet for 40 years and the neck needed to be adjusted 25 years ago and never got adjusted, and now it's like fucked forever. I don't know. I feel like these are kind of a safer bet and a safe middle ground to go. So there's that dark burst, that tobacco burst. Let's move on to the third Edwards ESP Les Paul. Do we have any guesses in the chat of what this might be? What color Les Paul this might be? Give me a guess, guys. Come on. A lot of the copies that I've played aren't that bad. Well, you should ask YDNA about the Chinese copies of Gibson. I'll say no more. Oh, Owen says sunburst or red. YJMA, which has no connection to YDNA. That's my friend Yuki. He says white. No, I don't have a Randy Rhoads white Les Paul Custom. And I don't have a red Les Paul either. Owen got it right. Sunburst. Rest in peace, Ace Frehley, right? Let's give him one of these. One of them bad boys. All right, so Sunburst does not have the nitro look and finish. Looks more like a modern Gibson poly finish. It's got some DiMarzios. I think that these are like DiMarzio 59 and Norton, maybe 59 and Norton, something like that. The inlays, they also have been upgraded by Jack Lee Guitars to not be mother of toilet seat, to be real shell, to be real mother of pearl. Thank you, Jack Lee Guitars. So this one, right, it's not a nitro one. There's different tiers of pricing and quality when it comes to Edwards, and this is the lower tier. But the neck is like between 50 and 60 Gibson, so it's comfy. It's got some chunk to it, but it's not too chunky. The weight, it's heavier, which I like. I feel like I can do some serious riffing compared to the thinner neck dark burst that you just saw. It just feels balanced, and the pickups are a nice balance and nice tonalities. And yeah, you can get the cheaper models for really low prices and take them to, and they're good bones. They're still good bones. They're not going to have the nitro. They're not going to have some fancier stuff. But if you got your expert luthier friend, you can take them over, get some new frets, get a new nut, and then all of a sudden you may have spent $1,000 on a Les Paul, and that Les Paul is Gibson quality, is $3,000 quality. I think that Edwards are a good, safe middle ground to be. You might not want to risk it on a 45-year-old vintage Japanese Gibson copy. You definitely don't get that Rockstar Mojo from Chibson's on AliExpress and Temu. I think Edwards ESP is where it's at. Let's see what we have. Let's hear it chug. Well, you know what? My wife is under the weather today, and she's resting. I'm not going to make a bunch of noise today, but I will debut some of things that you haven't seen. So I mentioned the Jimmy Page model. There are other artist models within Edwards. So we have Jimmy Page, we have John Sykes. Okay. If you are a Sykes fan, which there's a little niche of people that are huge Sykes fans, from his work in Thin Lizzy, from his work in Blue Murder, and some of his solo performances. Throughout the 90s and 2000s, he was usually the guy up on the mic and playing guitar solos in Thin Lizzy. So they've always been a staple of European touring rock bands. Let's see. That's a cool one. If you like him, it's another black Les Paul custom. They've got some Japanese artists, Sugizo. He's got like a Prince looking guitar. He's got these like black gothic Prince looking guitars. There must be a few others, but yeah, I've always bought Edwards Les Pauls. I haven't tried Edwards SGs, Explorers. Oh, they do make like a Hetfield Explorer with EMGs. They've got that. I can't recall the other artists, but there probably are a couple other artist models that they make. Edwards are dope. Now we also have the company Eastman out of China that are filling that niche of making Gibson copies. Specifically, the Les Paul Juniors. Those Eastman Les Paul Juniors look pretty damn cool. I've been tempted. The only Eastmans I've bought, though, have been acoustics. The first one was an OM orchestra model, and it was really quiet and just didn't feel like it projected and had any sort of life. So I flipped it pretty quickly. The last one I got, which was maybe 3 or 4 months ago, is a J45 type copy. It was inexpensive. I think I paid like $650 or something. And it is a killer guitar that I'm going to hang on to. And it satisfies my acoustic guitar desires. I think acoustic guitar, for the most part, is kind of boring. But I do need one that has certain tonalities to do a thing that I want once in a while. So this thing satisfies me. Let me pull it out. So this is the E1 SS Deluxe Sunburst. Yeah, this is one of those J45 copies. But this is, they make one that doesn't have this finish, that has a matte finish that's like $100 cheaper. So this is one up from that, but it's still their low range, their low price range. And this guitar sounds better than the other guitars I've had. I bought a lot of 80s Yamaha acoustic guitars. This is probably $700, and the matte finish is probably $600. I think I got this on a good deal for like $650. Might have paid $7, but yeah, if you want a Gibson acoustic guitar, I recommend this E1 SS DLX SB. These are really good, and they have a certain tonality that that's different than Martin. Like if you're a country player, you should want Martin, but for some reason, a lot of rock and pop and different players want Martin. I don't really get Martin. I think that they are just like for country music, and people just see that logo and they're just, oh, that's so cool. Well, they also do that with Gibson, but Gibson, I feel, is voiced more for rock music and the acoustic guitar tones that I gravitate towards. I don't know how to do flat picking country music on a guitar at all. I'm just playing chords to a song. I like a nice voicing. You know, I like the tonalities of the acoustic guitar and pop music and rock music. I'm not a fucking bluegrass guy. Forget about it. So I want Gibson, but I don't want to pay for Gibson. So here is a good compromise that isn't cheapo, but also isn't breaking the bank. I feel like for these types of guitars, for made in Japan or this, which is made in China, but it's not cheap, you don't want to buy the $3,000 one that's not at the Gibson. You know, you're trying to save money on it. Now, that $3,000 made in Japan Les Paul is probably either super rare or it's a great guitar or both. But okay, so it's either going to be a Gibson knockoff or the real Gibson. Well, the real Gibson's going to be $2,500 new. Do you want to spend $1,500 on the knockoff, or do you want to spend $8,000? Or do you want to go on Temu and AliExpress like someone we know? I won't say who, and get those Les Pauls for $200. Nah, you don't want the two. You also don't want to spend over $1,500. I really like this purchase because, hey, $700, and I scratched the itch of what I would have had to pay $2,500 to get the J45. Okay. The Yamaha acoustic guitars, I bought like 3 or 4 of them from the 80s, and they're great, and they've got good wood, and they've got great tonalities. The problem is the bridge sinks over time, and the glue that they used is like epoxy, and you can't do like a bridge reset on those. So after 40 years, an acoustic guitar basically needs to like get the bridge rebuilt because things shift around, and your strings will get too close or too far away from the fretboard. So those Yamahas from the early 80s, they're built well, but they're not built in a way that you can repair them. So I flipped all those, and I'm keeping this. This is brand new, 2025. This sounds great, and it has some Gibson tonalities for sure. All right, I'm going to read the chat for a little bit, and then I have something else to show you. I've always wanted a J45. Yeah, me too, dude. I like that sweet sound. That's right. The swag. Hey, great minds think alike. I'm not left-handed. It's just how things appear over the camera. I know it looks weird. Well, the swag. You saw Andy get those 2 guitars over the past couple days. You said you can't wait 3 months for a guitar to ship. Bro, I've waited over 4 years to try to get those guitars back into my possession. It never happened. So now they're with Andy. There's a long story behind that. I don't really want to tell it. No, it's not named after Edward Van Halen. It's just part of the ESP corporation. I am eating a lot of fermented foods in Korea, man. You should have seen what we had for lunch. Holy cow. I ate a lot of kimchi, different types of kimchi. Um, was eating these fermented green vegetables, eating fermented radish, fermented cabbage, all this stuff. Takamine and Taylor is the way to go. Well, if you want expert advice on guitars and gear, check out Joe. Joe's definitely the expert on these subjects. Takamine and Taylor, that's the way to go for Joe. Okay, the next thing. Thank you. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Oh well, I haven't played anything. Yes. The taste of the food is dang good. You're right. So next up, we've already delved into my fascination with this brand, Tech 21. Okay, so Tech 21 have been making their SansAmp products since 1988. So they make amp in a box with speaker modeling to replace real guitar amps since 1988. And they didn't pivot when Axe-Fx and Kemper became the top dogs in that market. They stayed OGs with their original formula. And I don't know what's going to happen with them, but I think they're a really cool company because they never really tried to say, hey, we have replaced tube amplifiers like all the modeling companies do. They didn't oversell themselves. I like that they're just like, hey, we've created a functional piece of gear for gigging guitarists. Check this out. I kind of like where they're coming from, their messaging. And I've had the previous character series Hiwatt pedal, the leads from like 15 years ago. And it had some tones in it that I hadn't heard before. Really cool. So I bought the character series plus pedals when they blew them out recently on Sweetwater. Hiwatt, Fender, and I've got the Marshall one around here somewhere. Here it is. So these are amp in a box plus a fuzz or an OD, like Tube Screamer. The Marshall has Fuzz Face and the Hiwatt has Big Moth. And these are things you have to tinker with. You're going to have to try them through a couple different power amps into real cabs. You're going to have to try them into PA speaker. You're going to have to try them in front of amps. And you're going to have to twist some knobs. And don't make up your mind on the first day. That's no good because Tech 21 puts a lot of control on the EQ. And you can have settings that are way too over the top for one application. You can make it sound bad, you know, so they're extremely flexible. And you need to set them up in a different way for each application you might use it. But I've found it great in front of amps. I found it great into a power amp, into a real cab. I like it into a PA speaker also. I just have to pace myself a little bit and keep tweaking. So those sound really good. So you're not going to believe this, the four of you that are in here, but I continued my exploration of the Tech 21 brand with the next purchase. Check this shit out. Come on, guys. You got to give me a sign of life in the chat, or I'm just going to go away. My show is too good to not have anybody in the chat saying something. Okay, we got Joe. Hey Joe, does it crack you up when I tell Angie, or when I say Angie and then I say parentheses like she's saying it? Hello, hey Joe, you want to give it a go? Like the Lady Marmalade. I know that cracks you up, dude. Okay. In 1 minute, I'm going to show you what's underneath this, and it's the culmination of my investigation. Okay, guys, so like I said, I kind of dipped my toes in to the Tech 21 situation with those Character Plus pedals. Since I bought 3 of them, you might say that I went further than just dipping my toes in. But this next purchase that I'm about to show you, it's going into the deep end, all right? I bought their flagship amplifier from 25 years ago. And I've got to tell you, the thing rocks. And it's a product that could not be made today because it's super heavy. It's a 212 combo. It's made of ply. It's not made of particle board. It is very sturdy construction-wise. And it is new old stock. It came with the cover, all the paperwork, the foot switch, everything as if it was new 25 years ago. Let's look at this for a second. I'll read the manual for you. Presenting the Tech 21 Trademark 120. So look at this. Most people would have just ripped it off as soon as they bought it. No, this amp was was like a demo piece in a music store for its entire life. So it's still got this just sitting here. These are some suggested settings. So what we got 1 channel, 2 channel, 3 channel. So you can set them Tweed, British, or California, which is like a recto. So you can get old school Fender, which became the blonde character pedal, the British, which is Marshall or Mesa California. So I've got this Tweed, Marshall, and Channel 3 Mesa. Got a master, you got boost, reverb, all that's foot switchable. Here's the foot switch. Channel 1, 2, 3. Effects loop, reverb, and boost. And yeah, this thing, it's got two Tech 21 labeled Celestion speakers, which people say are Celestion 7080. You can plug into the return your modeling stuff. Sounds great. So let's think about this for a second. Celestion 7080. Now, that's like the cheap Celestion speakers that nobody wants, right? So what's up with that? Well, the truth is that they are pretty flat. And that if you get a speaker that doesn't have much EQ, like the 7080, it can sound really good with modeling. So compared to playing PA speakers, this thing is a lot closer. If you stick Tonex, Fractal, Kemper into the return of this and just play the amp part, not the IR, or no, both the amp and the IR, this sounds really good as just a loud monitor. So I've played, it also has Accutronic spring reverb, all right? If something has Accutronic spring reverb, it just sounds better. It's a cool feature to have, especially on clean channels, right? So yeah, I got this the other day for $300, and it's like new, and it's a really good way. It's another way to listen to the modeling. So right now, I can run a modeler into the Blue Guitar Iridium power amp into a real cab. That's one way. Turn off the IR. Run the modeler with the IR into ISP Stealth power amp into cabinet with Celestion triple cone made for IRs. That's another way. And then the third way is put it into the return amp and IR of this. Listen to it that way. So it's always based upon your monitoring source, whether the modeling sounds good or not. If it sounds super sterile, well, it's probably not the modeler's fault. It's probably how you have your rig set up. So yeah, this thing sounds great. This is the type of amp that like pro musicians would use a lot. But people that are searching for tone on the forums wouldn't talk that much about. This thing, it kicks butt. It's got a lot of volume. The three different preamp options sound distinctly different and are very good. It's great. Hey, Owen, thank you very much. Hey, I've got some insight to share. You know, I'm not here to make any money. I'm not here to get a big channel. I'm just talking tone because YouTube could be a social network. It's usually not, because the people have really polished channels. They don't interact with the people in their chats. They're just selling you something. I'm searching for tone. And if you're with me, let's talk. You know, this is interactive over here. This isn't about trying to sell something. So yeah, Tech 21, that's another thing that I'll be putting some mics in the room, making some good videos with good audio quality. So I owe you guys videos, the YDNA Princeton, and I owe you videos of this Tech 21 amp. Oh, Joe, you missed last night's show, Joe. You missed Jackie Lee. So, Joe, this is a 50-watt Marshall that I built with YDNA over YouTube about 6 months ago. The cabinet just debuted last night on YouTube. Jack Lee Guitars here locally made the cabinet. Now the cabinet is not done. We need more ventilation. And we might need a handle. But the cabinet is dope. It is made of chestnut. And it is looking dope. So we need more ventilation. But hey, find you guys a sole proprietor who can make you cool stuff instead of spending your money at Guitar Center on a bunch of shit that is gonna fail in a couple years. He's gonna do some sort of venting. He's gonna do some sort of handle. We've also got the Hiwatt over here. It's on top of a 112 cab. That's going to get a box made by the same guy soon. Jack Lee Guitars on Instagram. Look him up. Look him up. We're going to get a box that looks different than this. He's going to make the Hiwatt one darker. This brown color, I told him, yeah, for Marshall, it can be yellow, purple, red, brown. For Hiwatt, you just want black. Hiwatt is just business, right? You just want black for a Hiwatt. For Marshall, you have a little bit more wiggle room for different color options. Well, guys, what's up, old dragon? Hey, you guys got any questions? I might have a couple more minutes. You guys want to ask anything in the chat? Rock on. Yeah, ask me something. What up? As a general rule, I would steer away from spending a lot of money on pickups and just buy medium output DiMarzio pickups. You don't want super high output because then you won't really hear your amp the way you should. You don't want vintage this or that because it's too low. You want something that's like a medium output DiMarzio pickup. Whether it's single coil or humbucker, that's a brand makes good stuff across the catalog. Just get medium output DiMarzio stuff and you'll be okay. Hey, you can listen to me or you can listen to Joe. Take your pick. Joe cracks me up. I really think that he should get his own show. And his son, Issa, his Italian son, Issa. That's the first thing you've ever said that's made sense, Joe. Good job. All right, dudes. Look out for some videos of the Tech 21. And last but not least, of course, the Y, DNA, Fender Princeton Special Edition. Yeah, this thing is super versatile. I'm not, you guys aren't going to trust me with a name like Team Y-DNA if the first night I get it without you guys even hearing it with microphones, I go on and Andy's like, is it the best thing you've ever heard? Blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to say, oh yeah, this amp is the best thing in the world. No, I'm going to listen to this and I'm going to give you a good review in time. Okay? You're not going to trust what I have to say if when he sends me something, I just say, oh my God, this is the best in the world. Well, why? Because it sounds better than everything else in the world. Well, what does it sound like? Oh, it sounds so amazing. No, I'm not doing that. So we're going to listen to this. We're going to dissect it. Yeah, we're going to do a deep dive on the Princeton from Y-DNA. I'll tell you right now, it's a badass amp. Louder, more versatile EQ, more versatile reverb. What more do you want? But there's more to it than just that. I'm going to get to it. Well, maybe later this afternoon for me. For me, it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Later this afternoon, I'll have some mics up and I'll make some videos. Check me out, guys. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll talk soon.